Welcome to TC and the Wolf, a brand new podcast featuring the Reverend Tom Chandler, a talented but slightly disgruntled music producer, and Nick Wolf, a singer, songwriter, and technology wizard. Important note, everything we say here is a joke and only for entertainment purposes. Do not take this seriously. The opinions expressed do not represent the views of anyone else or any companies we may be affiliated with. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and share. And as always, drink responsibly and make sure to tip your waiters.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to TC and the Wolf, episode 2, where today we are going to get into a couple of topics. Welcome back, Nick Wolf. How are you, sir?
Oh, it feels so good to be back.
Be back on the mic. Yeah, we had an interesting week, I would say.
Well, Tom, I got to hand it to us that we basically launched a whole podcast, a global podcast network in about 5 daay.
Joe Rogan, who? We're coming.
Exactly.
Coming for him. Adam
Spotify will take $1 billion.
Mark Maron. We're going to take all of them out. It's going to be awesome.
But in all seriousness, I really appreciate the fluidity and the bias for action we demonstrated, because I was here about literally a week ago on Sunday. We had a good talk about a bunch of other things, which we'll save for later. And then was like, what should we do today? Oh man, I've really been wanting to do a podcast. You kind of wanted to do one. I said, should we just fucking try it? And we did.
Yeah, and the feedback has been tremendous this week. Honestly, maybe we didn't have the world's largest amount of listeners or whatever, but the people who did listen to the whole show, talked to us, got a hold of us. We were hit up by a lot of friends and musicians that have good followings and good, social media presence and, presence in the market pretty much, that they want to be involved. They want to come on here. They want to do interviews, with us. I also got a lot of feedback from friends that were like, you always should have been doing this from years ago, that I talk about music with everybody all day, every day. And they were like, maybe you should figure out a way to do that and monetize opinions and things like that. So that's where we're at.
If we make even $1 on this, we're going to celebrate.
I'm going to be impressed if we do.
But seriously though, right? Just a few people I want to give a quick shout out. Like Danny Hector, for example. Brilliant musician, very kind guy. Sent me a note saying, I listened to the podcast, really enjoyed it, can't wait for the next episode. That was a big sign to me that we're on to something, right? Because this is a very smart individual, and even though some of our content might be a little lowbrow,
it's pretty lowbrow.
He appreciated it, right?
Well, that's good.
We got Danny, we got Leah's talking about coming on.
Yeah, Leah Martin Brown, yeah.
And speaking of this, we do have a list of potential guests. If someone out there is listening or watching, and you want to be involved, please send us a message. We're building out essentially a calendar for fall and winter and going into Q1. And between Tom and I, we know a lot of crazy musicians, and we want to bring you all in.
Include everybody here, make it a platform where we can all talk freely about shit and fucking be as honest as we want with music and opinions and just not have a filter in, And I told this to Nick last week. I said, I'm going to, for the first time in my life, be completely unobstructed, totally honest with everybody, because I'm a guy that doesn't have to care anymore, and I'm literally going to tell all tales as accurately as I can remember them and get into some crunchy, shitty details about things and be honest about my life and my experiences, which a lot of times I low-key played that when I was in a relationship or when I was dating someone or married or something like that. I wasn't as transparent as with, the public and everyone else. And since I've been doing that, life has gotten a lot better. And even our good friend Jack, he hit me up and he said, I got some ideas for topics. He hit me with a bunch of topics. He said, Tom, you're doing the right thing. You guys should just be talking about music all the time. So.
Amen. So really the point is, thank you to everyone who listened to the inaugural show. The feedback is really motivating and keeping us going, and we're having fun. We're excited to do this, and we're gonna have guests. That's the next big evolution, guests.
Yeah, we got to figure out the third microphone. Today
Let's not mention the broken SM7, everybody.
Yeah. We have a broken SM7 from last week. We had to make a special trip to Target to have a tablecloth because people were sick of seeing my feet, even though that was free and not on my OnlyFans.
If anybody wants to see footage of Tom in Target or Tom steaming a sheet, contact me. I'll make the prices reasonable.
A sheet which I burned, and it started to smell like a, what would you say?
I don't want to say.
Some kind of sweatshop in here.
I mean, we really did pull out a sheet for the table, thanks to feedback from our buddy Ron Geffen.
That's right.
Shout out to Ron.
Yeah, from Ron.
And, it was very wrinkly because it was in a package. I said, we should steam this. Tom breaks out the iron, impressive, starts ironing, which, again, I have the footage to prove it. And then I walk out of the room for 5 seconds. He burns the fucking sheet.
It was literally on fire. So.
And then we had to go to Target. And I mean, Tom and I don't think we meshed that well with Target, frankly.
No.
Nothing against Target. I shop there. I buy soda there, whatever the fuck. But we're walking through there, and I don't think we fit the clientele, the demographic.
No. Two dirty-looking dudes walking around looking for sheets or blankets. And this is the closest thing at the local Target we could find that was going to work for a tablecloth. So this is, I guess, a throw rug or something like that we're using.
Anyways, moving on. Thank you all for the feedback. Last week we talked about some spooky stuff, paranormal activity, stuff that Tom went through for many years, I think about 5 years. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the podcast, I was asking him kind of like, what's the conclusion? Did you do the research? Do we know what's up with this ghost? Where did it come from? At the time, we didn't have an answer. However, because we published the podcast, the fruits of our labor ended up coming back around, and we now know the truth. You want to take it from there?
So this is interesting. So the guy who owns the house, or owned the house for many years before he sold it, called me and was like, Tom, I got to talk to you about something.
Because of the podcast.
Because of the podcast. Like, he'd heard the podcast and he said he wanted to check it out. And this is actually my brother-in-law at this point, which is a whole other story. He was my college roommate. After he and I moved out here to California for a while, my sister came out to visit me, ended up hooking up with my roommate while she was on vacation with me.
Hey-o.
And it was an interesting situation. But
where was that vacation, by the way?
My sister was just coming out here to visit me. She was coming from D.C. She used to work for a senator in D.C. And she came out here to just see California, go to the beach, have some fun with me, and ended up talking to my roommate all night for many nights, and eventually to them having a relationship, which was...
And they're married now.
They've been married for 21 years, I think now, or something like that.
Well, shout out to 21 years.
Adam and
That's
Colleen.
amazing.
Yeah.
And that's rare.
It's rare, yeah.
But I love that a casual trip turned into a lifelong love affair.
It did. And also, this is how we found out, as Adam listened to this, he gave me the history of the ghosts at my old dwelling. So we used to live there together. Adam himself never saw anything, but he had been previously married after we had all moved out from college and from that building. And his ex-wife currently saw all kinds of evidence of this kid running around. Like, he remembers sitting in the hot tub with her, and they were sitting across from each other, and she's looking at him, and then all of a sudden she starts freaking out. She's like, oh my God. She's like, I just saw a kid walk behind you. And he was like, what? And she got out of the hot tub. She's looking around the whole 9 yards. And they would see the kid standing at the end of the bed. She would see that sometimes. Other people reported it after I was gone with no influence from me.
So this isn't just a Tom Chandler problem.
No, this was an ongoing problem. And apparently somebody there, either Adam's ex-wife or one of our old roommates, Sarah, had looked up a history of the home. And it was actually a place where there was an experience in Utah for a long time called downwinding, where they would light off nuclear testing over Area 51, kind of by Vegas. And the winds would take it up into southern Utah, to the very southern point of Utah. And apparently one of the kids was a downwinder in this situation where he died from playing in Fallout. So he became,
That's brutal.
Radioactive and developed a bunch of radiation poisoning. And
why didn't he become like a superhero? What's up with that?
I don't know. He could have been the next Superman or Spider-Man, but instead he decided to haunt a house and piss me off. So I don't know.
And to become part of this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, that was the
his
inaugural episode, and that's his fate. Little Timmy.
What is his name? Did you get a name?
No one had a name. It was in the early 60s, that kid had died with the family
Wow.
in the house.
So we have a very strong prevailing theory about the kid, what may happen to him, and how there may be a ghost in that particular home.
Probably still to this day, like I said, no longer does my brother-in-law Adam and his family own the place. They owned it when we all lived there when we were in college, but after he got divorced and stuff like that, following and before he met my sister and the whole 9 yards, that's kind of how it went down. But a number of people apparently after I left, without, hearing me talk about this, or they just experienced it by themselves. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, the case of the Utah ghost has been solved.
It's been solved. We now know what the fuck was going on.
This is like some Sherlock Holmes shit. Well, dude, I did say to you last time, did you research it? Did you look through the records? Did you go into that? You were just like, no, I was just playing my guitar in my room. I didn't have time for that.
I wasn't a paranormal investigator.
But so this was like 97, 2000 or something.
98, yes.
And so this all happened to you. You had a lot of curiosity, a lot of questions, but not enough to take that next step. And then you waited basically 25 years to actually dig in.
Well, what's funny is I tell this story all the time to people, because when it gets to this time of year or whatever, people will be like, hey, have you ever experienced anything paranormal? I'll be like, oh yeah, let me tell you about this fucking pain in the ass ghost I had for a long time. And that's really the only situation where I've experienced something that was like an ambient haunting like that, or was there's other places that you go to where, like when you go to like a mental hospital and you feel like the down, like bad, brutal energy, like when you walk into a place like that, or in certain like places where there's a lot of death, there's like a feeling attached to it that I'm not sure if we're attaching, like the Civil War, grounds and stuff like that. People have feelings there, really dark feelings, but this never felt dark. It just felt like something trapped.
Did it feel whimsical?
It didn't feel whimsical. It felt like there was some kind of energy with that kid and his presence, like trapped behind a wall there that once in a while he poked out of, and you could see him. That's all it really felt like.
You know what I think I would like to do? I'd like to commission a sketch artist in that zip code in Utah to go meet with some of these people. I want to see a picture of this kid.
84720. We're looking for you.
84720. If there are any sketch artists in the vicinity of 84720, hit us up.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, I was glad that we got that confirmed. Actually, the only other time I had a similar, I want to talk about this for a second. Similar experience was I owned a house over here in like the North Glendale area for a while. And it was really interesting because we got it at a big discount, okay? And
What, the house?
the house that I had down over there that you've been
Where
to
the studio was?
Where the studio was before,
Okay.
yeah. That I moved out of probably like 2-3 years ago. And what happened there was interesting because we got it because the lady who lived there was a former athlete, okay?
What kind of athlete?
She was a runner in like the 70s for the Olympics or something like that. And she was a gold medal winner. But when we met her,
Really?
yeah. And
Wow.
when we met her, she was like really despondent and weird, and they were putting her in like care because she was older. And apparently, I didn't know this, but she had gone crazy in the house. And this is what's weird about this is that she all of a sudden I moved in. It'd been a couple months. My neighbors come up and start talking to me. My neighbor Jeff comes over from across the street. He's like,
Shout out to Jeff.
Jeff's all, Tom, I'm like, oh, you live here now? This is great, dude. So glad that you're here. Not that crazy old lady. I go, crazy? What'd she do? And he goes, that bitch used to like come out of the house naked and knock on our doors.
And then run a marathon.
And he said she would run up and down the street naked at 3 o'clock in the morning. He said they would catch her laying down in the road and stuff like that. So she had like legitimately like lost her mind in that place. And when I first moved in there, it was weird because like I would sit down on the couch to watch TV and I had a clear view of like the hallway to my kitchen. And for some reason in the house, I always felt like there was something weird and dark in the kitchen. And
I kind of felt some vibes in that kitchen.
do you see what I'm saying?
I remember the first time I met you and we went in the kitchen in between some songs or whatever. And well, that's a different story.
Yeah,
Continue.
but that's just what's weird about it is that like there was always like this weird thing, and I'd tell my ex-wife about it, be like, hey, did you notice like just how dark it is back there at night? And it just feels like you can't get enough light in the room, and you can't, it was just really like there was an eerie feeling there, but it felt nothing like the ghost situation where there was like a physical manifestation of anything. But it's weird because the more time that anybody spent in that house, it seems like the more their mental health deteriorated. And I wasn't in there a lot because I was in the studio most of the time. I'd come in there and, drink 8 shots of whiskey and go to sleep. That's all that I would do every night. So like I wasn't really there a lot, and I'd, be out in Hollywood and doing stuff during the day. So I really didn't experience anything there, but every one of my ladies that spent some time in that house had some problems. And it's just interesting because sometimes, and I found out that place used to be a tuberculosis field for the mental hospital that's on the hill right nearby.
Oh my gosh.
And during COVID, almost all the couples on that street split up. And it was kind of unanimous, except for Jeff and Jen across the street. Everybody else on the street, largely that was in a relationship that was between 30 and 50, just deteriorated. And
well, the prevalence, the commonality of them all experiencing that is probably very rare, fair to say. On the other hand, though, COVID tested everyone's limits in some way, right?
That's true.
Whether being cooped up in the house, people aren't exercising, people aren't eating right, some people took up destructive habits or whatever. Some people completely fell off the wagon during COVID.
Yeah, and we did too, and that's the whole thing. But it's just interesting. That's the only other time, though, where I could say that I walked into a place that I lived, and there was something palpable in the back, like in where that kitchen area was, that like in the middle of the night, I just felt like there was somebody standing back there looking at me or something. Like there was like an intensity back there.
But you never saw anything?
Never saw anything. I would hear a couple things back there, but we had, in this area, we have a lot of like animals at night. Coyotes and skunks and raccoons and stuff. So you never know what you're hearing. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of rustling going on all the time. But anyway, that's the story of End of the Darkness for a while. We'll clear up all the Halloween vibes.
Halloween is over, thank God. Yeah. I do think it would be very interesting, whether if it's part of our podcast or not, to go to that home. I want to try to see the ghost. I would be really interested.
Utah?
Yeah. Why not?
I don't know who owns it anymore, though. That's the thing. We'd have to, and then you have to explain to the person who lives there.
All we have to do is drop the TC in the Wolf card. We're in like Flynn. Media pass.
Listen, Mr. and Mrs. Nelson, I have a podcast. Perhaps you've heard of us. TC and the Wolf. Here we go. We're going to enter your home with some paranormal gear.
Would you like to be famous? All right. I think we can move on. Okay. I think the next big topic, right, is about the music industry at large, the recycling of legacy acts, the pros and cons of people doing so-called reunion tours and things. I know this is something that Tom is very passionate about, so I wanted to bring it up and let him get his unbridled thoughts on tape here. We all have favorite old bands, right? Like,
yes.
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind, Rolling Stones, for example. I saw them at SoFi 2-3 years back, right after pandemic thing kind of subsided. SoFi is its own animal, right? Huge stadium.
Terrible
sound. Is a little rough. If anyone from SoFi Stadium is listening, can we work on this together?
Can we please figure out a way to fix the fucking sound? Because like I heard Metallica there was awful. Nobody could hear anything.
Was I at that?
I got a lot of bad feedback about how the early bands were so quiet, no one could hear it. There's a lot of drag in the speakers to the people. There's a lot of echoing going on.
Well, it's a big space. It's open air. That immediately creates challenge, right? But they've got the money. They've got the resources.
Well, and honestly, here's the one problem, though. How do you fix a big open space with a lot of reverberation? How you fix that is with volume. And
make everyone wear headphones.
But you fix it with volume, though, largely. Like, so when they have, like, Rolling Loud or something where they're, like, the problem is, the dB level will transfer out of there, like from the parking lot just at like Rolling Loud or whatever, where it was, the whole neighborhood was basically shut down for 16 hours because it's so fucking loud. And that's the only way you can really escape an open air, reverberous chamber kind of sound is with
kill
lots
them
of
with
volume.
Yeah.
dB level will kind of eat up some of the reflection and keep that to the forefront. But yeah, so let's talk about these bands.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
Stones, Beatles, a.k.a. Paul McCartney at this point, Motley Crue, some of the Van Halen offshoots. Rush is back in the news.
Yeah, I was talking about this on Insta the other day, just how largely disrespectful I think this Rush thing is.
Really?
Because, dude, like, in the old days, like, when John Lennon got shot, we didn't expect the Beatles to go back on tour. Do you know what I mean? Like
That's fair.
That's the template for all bands, pretty much in the modern era. Was what did the Beatles do? Follow what the Beatles did, and like if you want to be Paul McCartney and play some of your songs, play some of the Beatles classics that you wrote, whatever, you can still do that, but you can't call it the fucking Beatles, right?
Which he's not.
Which he's not. And by calling this Rush, and I want to clear up, I have no problem with the lady playing drums. She's great. She's a fantastic drummer.
What's her name? Do you remember?
I don't remember her name, but I remember I've seen her on Instagram for like years and on YouTube doing clinics and stuff for years. She's a fantastic drummer. But at the same time, nobody's really a replacement for the person who basically was the founder of that drum style.
Well, he also wrote a lot of that music, right?
He wrote
and lyrics.
Most of the lyrics and a good portion of the music. And
Let's just say the name.
Neil Peart.
Neil Peart.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that feels good.
But there's certain people in bands that I don't think it's fair to carry on without. Like,
he's pretty irreplaceable. I mean, if you're just the drummer, it's still hard to replace if you were like the soul, like John Bonham, which we should talk about in a minute. But then on top of that, he played, like Neil Peart played multiple roles in that band.
He did. And he was also the person kind of driving Rush forward with all the progress they made until like the 80s and 90s. He was carrying the cross, per se, even though he had a shitload of personal issues and like
health issues
and stuff like that. And also, I think some of his family died like in that time. There was a lot of really rough times for Neil Peart when you just took off on a motorcycle and didn't talk to anybody for a couple of years. And the fact that they could go out there, just don't call it Rush or call it a tribute to Rush, like maybe do some scheduled shows, do Seattle, do San Francisco, LA, Austin, Boston, like Chicago, like, and bring out people like the band can't play this stuff anymore. Like Geddy can't sing it anymore. It's the same thing with Vince Neil.
I was going to ask you about this, like, because Geddy Lee has been known as an accurate singer, pretty precise singer. His tone is very unique and kind of irreplaceable, right? I don't know the state of Geddy Lee's voice. Are you saying that he kind of can't sing?
He hasn't been able. He hasn't
what?
been able to sing for probably over 10 years and hit the notes. I mean, stuff like, and that stuff's really fucking high because
it's hard.
It's made by young people on cocaine. So, I mean, that's just like...
Not only that, they're Canadian.
Yeah, it's true. Which is really hard to replicate with anyone else. No. But I think, like, literally if they would have got some guest singers to come up and then maybe Geddy sings stuff an octave down with them on the choruses and he just rips on the bass, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that because the only person I know that's singing that high and crazy into, like, their 60s is probably Bruce Dickinson. He's the only person that he's adjusted some notes in the set, but he hasn't really taken the majority of it down.
I have
yet.
a good Bruce story. I'm going to table it for later.
Okay.
But should I talk about it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, so to second what you're saying, I went to Aftershock in, when was that, September? Oh, it was early October. It was like 10/3, right?
Okay.
And I took a Southwest flight, and I kind of booked late, and it was more expensive than I wanted it to be. But it was like the cheapest option that wasn't dog shit, basically, right? And I get to the airport, I get set up through the security, yada, yada. And I'm excited to go to this thing because these are like big events, a lot of cool music. I'm hyped. But then I go to get in the line, and there's only a little bit of time before the boarding happens. And I find out, Southwest does that weird, like, brackets, like A1 through 30, and then 31 to 60 and stuff like this. So I kind of figure out where I am. I go to the line, and as I'm approaching the line, I see, like, kind of a short guy, but his face looks so familiar. And he's got a beanie on, and he's surrounded by some taller dudes with basically what I'm going to call metal hair. And that's no disrespect. I love metal hair. I'm like, something's going on here. And it's Aftershock weekend, right? Yeah. And I kind of circle around.
Why else would you be going to Sacramento?
And that's a good point. It's a flight to Sacramento from L.A., and there's not many reasons to do that, as you indicated. And then as I get around, I'm in the first group. I kind of get my place in line, and I look over, and I'm like, I knew it. I fucking knew it. It was Bruce fucking Dickinson right next to me, and I had a better place in the line than him, which I felt both good and bad about. And then I started thinking, what am I going to do? Because I would like to just say hi. I don't want to be disrespectful. I would like to say what's up. He's one of my longtime heroes. Like, I got so obsessed with Maiden for quite a while. And, you want to be cool about it. You don't want to be a pain in the ass and so forth, right? So initially, let's get into nerd mode here for a second. I took like a little picture off to the side of him from like a side view.
You're that guy.
And then I sent it. I might have sent it to you. I sent it to my brother Mario. I said, dude, Bruce Dickinson's in my line. What the fuck? And I was like, just kind of tripping, right? And then when they called my line, I start proceeding forward to go scan my boarding pass. I just stopped and I said, hey. And he goes, oh, hey. You know, he has a cool accent and everything. I said, hey, man, I don't want to bother you. I just want to say, huge fan. It's lovely to meet you. We shook hands. He said, have a nice flight. I get on the plane, just geeked, and I texted you.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, Bruce Dickinson's on my plane. And, you know, I've met a lot of people, but, like, I'm still geeking, right, which is cool. And then his whole band and him come on the plane, and they're kind of going past me. And I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool if they just sat by me. But that didn't quite happen. He was a couple rows behind. I looked back a few times, like, oh.
And you ended up next to the fattest guy on the plane, probably.
Actually, I think there was a seat between me and this other person. I can't remember the other person now. It was a smooth flight. We get to Sacramento. I get the Uber to my hotel, put my stuff down, take a quick shower because I want to get back to the festival, start seeing bands. And I didn't have the schedule, you know, memorized. I didn't have it in front of me. I knew Bruce was playing that weekend. I assumed he was going to play on Saturday because he just flew on Friday afternoon, basically, right?
But that fucker flies all the time.
Well, that's a whole other thing, right? But my point is, I do a quick turnover, get dressed, take an Uber back to the place, and I had to sort out some stuff with the passes, and there was kind of some shenanigans there. But once I get my pass, I go through the gate, and I hear a loud band. Initially, I'm like, oh, good, music, right? And secondly, I'm like, holy shit, I think it's him. I think it's fucking him. And I come over there, and sure enough, he's playing. Like, literally, dude, he flew. And in the time I showered, changed, and did all the stuff, he basically went to the gig, straight to the gig, dude, and got warmed up and went right on stage. And, I mean, the balls.
That
the fucking balls.
motherfucker's all business, dude.
Well, and also he's been doing it for a long time, and he's a super pro, right? But I couldn't believe my eyes. He's there playing. So, and because I had the artist pass thing, I got to go around and go to the side, and I'm just like taking pictures and geeking and trying not to be annoying as fuck, you know. And just the fact that he came from the plane and performed, it actually kicked me in the ass because I do a lot of prep and a lot of stuff to make sure that I can be my best. He's like, no, fuck it, I'm going on, dude. Now, this is his side project. It's not Maiden. It's not 300,000 people. It's a little different.
But Bruce Dickinson solo albums, he's taken seriously for a long time, and
absolutely.
they're very fucking good.
Yeah.
I mean, I own probably 3 of them and think they're all pretty fantastic. He works with a guy named Roy Z, who used to be in Band of Gypsies.
I know that name.
And Roy produces that stuff. And I was there when they were recording, I think it was The Chemical Wedding. I popped in with my old job for a little bit and saw them recording during that time over at Silver Cloud. I think it was in Burbank or North Hollywood at the time. And yeah, Joe from Warrior used to run Silver Cloud over North Hollywood. So we popped in there. We saw him. Some of the guys from Halford had dropped by and stuff like that. Metal Mike and those guys, yeah. But it's just interesting because Iron Maiden is probably the one band that I don't think should quit yet. Yeah, and though even Nico, their drummer, stepped down. I mean, Nico's not the original drummer, though, either. So, I mean, like, that was pretty much Clive Burr.
But, I mean, he did it for, like, 40 years.
He did it for 40 years. So, and also, like, there's an era of a band which is a golden era. Do you know what I mean? Which Neil Peart was in the golden era of Rush. He wasn't their first drummer. There was another drummer before him.
Oh, really?
Fly By Night and shit. There was another drummer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's just Alex and Geddy's music at that point. But that's really, like, there's a golden era of that music, and I feel like the best bands, and this is, I'm just going to say this to be, I don't know, revealing about this topic, where if you're an older band like that and you starve the market, let me give you an example of somebody good who does this. Like, System of a Down has 5 records. Rage Against the Machine has 3 records. They play every couple years, couple shows, they make a shitload of money, they play the hits, they walk off, and they're fine.
It's a good business.
It's the bands that are incessantly touring that are a problem for me. The Motley Crues, the Bon Jovis, the people like that who they cannot play the music. It was designed to be played by 20-year-olds on coke and whiskey, and they can't do it anymore. Guns N' Roses, a lot of it's in the same category for me, where I feel like, sure, musically it's fine, but I feel like some of those people would have been better off to take a long, long break, and especially if you're at the level of money like Rush. Or Kiss, or like Kiss should have been done in fucking the 90s. It's just gone on.
Well, I think they
years.
had like a farewell tour in the late 90s or something, right?
Well, basically what they did is they came back with the reunited Kiss, which was going to be Ace Frehley and fucking Peter Criss are back, and
hey, Let's take a moment for Ace.
For Ace, that's true.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. It's cold gin time right now.
Woohoo!
Yeah. I love Ace Frehley songs. They're great. But no, that's the thing, though. I saw them on that tour in 96 or 97 when they first came back. I think it was 96. I saw them at MGM in Las Vegas. I was sitting right next to Paul Gilbert and Billy Sheehan.
No way.
Yeah, they had gone to the show with each other. It was really nice. And so, yeah, I got to like nerd out about Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons with those guys. That was fun. But then what stuck with me is they were like, well, we're going to put out one more record. We're going to put out Psycho Circus, and then we're going to be done.
That was a crazy album.
Yeah, and apparently they didn't let Peter or Ace barely perform on the record at all because Paul and Gene are the control freaks that they are. And so to me, it was kind of done then. And we've had a shitload of really fucking bad Kiss records.
And they kept it going for another 25 years.
Yeah, like 25, 30 years beyond that, dude. And like now they're just wrapping up in Vegas and they're tuned down like a full step and a half or something at this point. I mean, Paul Stanley's like, hey, everybody, how's it going? He's, it's literally down there, hey, everybody, how's it going? It's completely changed.
I love Paul's shouting voice, though, dude. It's so cute.
Yeah, I mean, he used to go, all right, love gun. And I was like, all right, love gun.
Let me hear ya.
The original Dr. Rocks, though, was him. That was pretty funny.
Oh, my God.
No, but yeah, it's just funny because a lot of these bands, especially Motley Crue, goddamn, those motherfuckers should have quit a long time ago. And
so is your main... I mean, let's list out your points. What are your beefs?
Okay, my beef is this. If you can't perform the songs or original members from the golden era or the time everyone remembers of the band are no longer there, like, for instance, like, should the Stones really be going out without Charlie Watts? I mean, like...
Well, see, that's an interesting one. And I guess, you know, you have some sort of tenets you're suggesting that should govern these decision-making processes, which I respect, right? But it is also a little bit situational. Like, I think the Stones one, my humble opinion, I'm okay with them doing it without him. No disrespect to Charlie. But Mick and Keith, to me, is really the heart of it. And they still actually sound kind of okay.
And I just went and saw Oasis a couple months ago, and I'm giving them a pass. The only original people in the band were probably Liam and Noel, which is probably...
That's the heart.
But it was probably the only people on the record deal as well. So that's all I'm trying to say is that, like, when you see... This is why I still have respect, like I said, for, like, System, for, you know, Rage Against the Machine. That's all the dudes that were playing that shit in the 90s. They're still there. Most of the guys in Pearl Jam have been there for 20 years or so. And when members like that leave and it changes the dynamic, you're not really seeing like the Jimi Hendrix experience anymore. You're not seeing Prince and the Revolution. That was the Revolution. That was that band. Do you know what I mean? And that era is over. Then he went to Prince and the New Power Generation and became something else. So I have
an idea. What if we do, I'll quiz you. Okay. So like, Rush, should they be doing it or not, and why not? And you got to keep it short, though.
They shouldn't be doing it because it's disrespectful to Neil Peart. It's disrespectful to people who enjoy how the original songs were sung, and it's if you can't perform it, don't do it. And that's I mean,
the main problem is the vocal.
The vocal is horrific, and also no one. If you didn't hire Thomas Lang to play drums or something, it's not going to be even close to Neil Peart. I mean, it's just going to be different.
I mean, Neil is in a class of his own. There's no doubt.
And the only person that has that stiff, like robot type timing that Neil does is Thomas Lang. And like the minute that they said they might go back out, I'm like, well, if they do it with Thomas Lang, I might have some appreciation for it. So
interesting.
Or if they had a bunch of fans do it, like Danny Carey and Mike Portnoy or something.
Dude, I mean, everyone would love to see like that, right? People would geek out on that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
That
like,
would be
have
cool.
a couple shows where this night, fucking Mike Portnoy's playing 2112, and then, you know, Danny Carey's playing Farewell to Kings.
I would be into that.
I'd be into that.
I'd be totally into that.
And call it a tribute to Neil Peart through Rush or whatever, and do a couple shows.
This is a very good idea.
Do a couple shows, but don't go on a full-scale tour where you're going to charge people $500 for fucking nosebleed seats and drain everybody dry for one last time so you can die with $200 million rather than $150 million.
Well said. Okay, but hold on, back to the list. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask. Motley Crue.
Should have been done in fucking 1994. There's not been anything good come out of those. I mean, maybe 2 or 3 tracks on Saints of Los Angeles. Maybe when they played Sunset Music Festival, that could have been the last like round.
I went to that. It was fun.
It was a fun show, and they played decently. Like they didn't suck a bit.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh yeah, we probably crossed paths.
I drank a. Does everyone know what a Camelback backpack is?
Oh yeah.
I drank a
For hiking.
Yeah, I drank a Camelback backpack full of scotch that day. It was fun.
Wow.
Yeah, so Motley Crue sounded real good to me.
Well, it's that kind of a product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we did Rush, Motley Crue, Kiss. You already kind of said, but
Fuck Kiss. That's been over for a long time, and they shouldn't have done it. I mean, there's no like Ace Frehley's not in your band anymore. Dude.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean,
Stones.
his guitar coaches. Stones, I think they could have stopped in the 80s, early 90s. I mean, has the last good song was what, Mixed Emotions or something on Steel Wheels in like 86? I mean, can you name?
What about that song, Has Anybody Seen My Baby
That's
or whatever?
a Mick Jagger song.
Oh,
That's not even a Stones song.
Shit, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like that was, and they got sued for that because it sounded too much like Constant Craving by fucking Katie Lang.
Oh,
and
really?
Katie Lang collected all the money for that song. And that's not
No
even
way.
their song. That's a Mick Jagger song, yeah.
Well, that's also why I like talking to you and like doing this podcast with you, Tom. You have an encyclopedic sort of knowledge of various forms of music. Okay, Kiss, Rolling Stones. What about... Well, Zeppelin hasn't continued, which is good, because they said after Bonham is out, we're not doing that.
But also what they did was the respectful thing. They played 2 shows that were tributes for a purpose, for a charity, for a friend who passed that was a manager and things like that. And they used John Bonham's son, his literal
which is very
blood,
cool.
which is, and even if he can't play it, still has more cred than hiring rando, Kenny Aronoff or some shit to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't even want to talk about Kenny Aronoff.
well, that's always,
right
I don't mind Kenny Aronoff, but should he ever have replaced Jimmy Chamberlain in the Smashing Pumpkins?
Shit, no.
Is Jimmy Chamberlain even replaceable? It has to be him and Billy all the time. I mean, because that's who played on the records. That's who had the record deal. I mean,
well, and also Jimmy has a very unique style. Hard to replicate that. His feel. He's applying jazz principles to rock. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Very much like a guy named Neil Peart.
Yeah.
I mean, and John.
Okay, let's put Jimmy Chamberlain in with Rush. Mm-hmm. That could work.
Well, any of those guys would have been fun to see do it, and that would be more fun than what we're going to see, which is one guy who can't sing Rush songs, a guy who's kind of sloppily playing guitar, and we're going to see a backing musician that plays all the keys and extra guitar parts that they announced that's going to go on tour with them.
Right.
And a drummer who's a new person that doesn't really have a similar style or technique doing their thing with Rush songs. So to me, I'd rather hear them say, hey, Miles Kennedy and some other guys that sing high are coming out with us to do this that can still carry the boat.
I mean, they could have definitely sort of repackaged it in that sort of way, still made good money, and not, trampled right along the same path.
Yeah, I just think we're hurting our case. There's another band I was thinking of too that shouldn't be doing this.
What about Danzig?
In Danzig, I only ever knew of 2 people.
But I just mean, like, he's still doing shows.
But
how do you feel about it?
He's also Danzig. I mean, it's Glenn doing the show. The band is named after him.
Right.
I mean, if John Christ isn't there, that's probably a little weird.
I don't think he's been doing any of these.
I know he hasn't been doing anything. And Glenn's bad. I mean, he was in the Misfits. He's always arguably been bad at singing. So,
ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. Tom is brutal as ever.
But that's true. I mean, part of the aesthetic of the Misfits were they were not great musicians. That was rough and tumble.
Love me some Misfits,
brutal.
people.
I know you do. I love them too, but it's a different reason for that. And Glenn has always been largely comedic to a lot of people too. Keep that in mind.
Mother.
Yeah, like it's kind of like evil Elvis shit. You know what I mean? Like Evil Doors or something.
I love it. I fucking love it.
I love it too, but it's one of those things where it's always had that comedic element to it, which kind of, to me, balances out if he's bad. It's kind of like Elvis impersonator bad. Does that make sense?
No, I'm following.
Yeah. So.
Well, and I always use this example. I feel like they had, Misfits especially, there was just some great songwriting, good timeless melodies. I mean, the guitar work and stuff is not that clever, but the point is, all of those quote-unquote deficiencies, for lack of a better word, were overcome by the quality sing-song-along ability of the quality melodic writing, right? And punk rock isn't supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be fast and loose and rough and in your face, and it was and it is, and that's great. So it's kind of different than the other bands.
But also know with Danzig, it's based upon, if you really listen to Danzig, like the first 2 records, right? it's based upon blues. Like it's very like dun 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 dun. It's all very that very blue.
Rides.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all very much that, and that can kind of be sloppy, kind of be shitty, and kind of be a little off.
Although Danzig, first two records especially, and I think when they were playing live then, I mean I didn't see them then, but
I did.
They were probably very tight with the slop sort of in the DNA of it.
Yes,
right?
yes. And
They were not untight, is my point.
No, and it wasn't supposed to be a gridded music to begin with.
Exactly.
I mean, it was a little slutty. It was a little, honestly, like, I thought the first Danzig record was some great stripper music.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever want to have
She
a
Rides.
good night with a goth lady, that's a...
Ladies and gentlemen, we're starting a new podcast called Good Night with a Goth Lady.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you put on a little twist of cane, everybody's like in the mood. You know what I mean, nothing hits like that. That's what I'm saying. So, I try to
You know
think of
what?
some other
Glenn
bands.
Danzig just had a big Halloween party at St. Felix in Hollywood on La Brea. Or, is it La Brea or is it Highland right there? Selma and Highland. I think.
Cahuenga.
Selma and Cahuenga. Yeah. Do you know this guy, Fred Aching? I don't know.
Yeah, I know Fred.
Yeah. So shout out to Fred. But he plays in like 50 bands.
Yes,
I don't
he
know
does.
how he does it, and works for Cleopatra Records doing design and stuff like this.
We deal with them all the time.
And he actually spawned the original Oceans on Other Planets graphics with me.
Oh, sick. I love Fred.
And he also plays in all these, groups. But he was there at the thing, and he has a really nice picture of him with Danzig, and Danzig is dressed up as a priest. I'll show you later. It's pretty dope. I'm like, why the fuck wasn't I there? But
all right,
such
so
is
let me
life.
ask you about some bands. What do you think about, like,
Hit me.
the common state of Foo Fighters?
Well, this is a thing. I mean, I was a big Nirvana fan, big Dave Grohl fan, particularly as a drummer. I love a lot of things that Dave Grohl has done. Also, he was like Mr. Nice Guy in rock all the way up until this Affair thing kind of came out, whatever, right? And I liked the especially the very first Foo Fighters record, still my favorite, which is just Dave, I think with a 4-track cassette machine, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
The Mentos song and all of that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great record. I haven't loved some of the later Foo Fighters tracks. I mean, great rock band, put on great shows. It's pretty top tier in terms of like that kind of a band. But I just feel like, where's the raw emotion? Where's the the creativity that we used to see?
After you make 5 or 6 records as an entity, right? The amount of stuff you can do under
It's
that
limited.
same name is limited. I mean, and some of the best, most successful bands are very limited. Like, look at AC/DC or Metallica. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Well, that AC/DC is the ultimate. Here's our box, and we're not fucking
they
going
only
anywhere
play
outside
major
of it.
chords and pentatonic scales. So I mean, like, and scream above, D. That's what we do. But no, it's really interesting though that, like, that's a brand, and that's kind of a part of the problem I'm having now with, like, we don't get new music anymore because the legacy acts have chewed up all the market share at festivals. Like, we're not seeing a band even from 20 years ago that we're starting headlining. And this is what's different for rock. It's become a lot like jazz in a way, where, like, everyone looks back at jazz and they go, well, what's the classic jazz stuff? Well, you've got
Coltrane.
You got the Coltrane, you got the Miles Davis, you got all the Composers, you got the Herbie Hancock, you got the Sonny Rollins. Like, all this stuff is considered the best jazz ever. And at that point, nobody really talks about it after that point. And so now we're to the point in rock music where we have these brands where, like, kids know what AC/DC is because they see it on T-shirts at Target. And they Misfits, and they assume it's good. Actually, what's funny that I learned about the Misfits is that they're only still surviving because the logo was, and the trademark is what the label bought from them. Did you know
We
that?
talked. You and I talked about this.
And which is crazy because they sold way more T-shirts than records, way more merch than records, and the label made all that money. And that's what's pretty sad. But honestly, like, that's the issue, is branding. Like, people know what these brands are.
It's like Pepsi and Coke, man.
Yeah,
you can't have a new soda brand and outdo Coke because they have such an entrenched market share.
But I also want people to think about this. At hip-hop shows and at pop festivals and at EDM shows and stuff like that, the most popular music in the headliners is usually newer stuff right along with some of the classic stuff.
Actually, this is a very good point, right? In, like, let's just take hip hop. it does seem there's a stronger desire for the new, fresh stuff.
Exactly.
Right? And so it's like, what's the hot new thing? So like when Future came out or
Travis Scott.
2 Chainz. Travis Scott's a good example. Like when those people emerged, it was like, this is a new era, and that was the hot shit. And you still liked the classics. But like you said.
At a hip-hop show, there's nobody like out there trying to do stuff from like Tupac's era. They don't have like Snoop Dogg like out at, you know, a all hip hop day festival anymore. Like it's the headliner's going to be, you know, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, like anything like Kendrick, things like that are like happening now. And what's interesting is that this last week, I don't know if you heard about this. This was the first week in like I think 30 or 40 years that there were no hip hop songs on the top 40.
What? Is that for real?
For real, there was, because Luther by Kendrick finally dropped off, which it's been on the chart for like 38 weeks or something crazy like that. It's been top 40 for 38 weeks. It dropped off the chart, and there were no hip hop songs in the top 40. It was all basically like TikTok stuff, K-pop, and pop, like Sabrina Carpenter, things like that. So most of it was Taylor Swift and Sabrina Carpenter, to be fair. But the rest of it was not hip hop for the first time in a very long time, which does it have its own market? Maybe it's reached the point where we've seen saturation to where there was way too many fucking mumble rappers. There was way too many like female swag, like Ice Spice and shit like that. It was so bad for a while.
Swag.
Yeah, it got so bad for a while with some of those. Sexy Red was fucking terrible. Like there was a bunch of bad artists that came out that they tried to promote. Even Drake was like on a Sexy Red track that has like 30 million views or something, and she can't sing at all. It's just all attitude, all gross, and no one wants to fucking listen to that. It sounds like noise.
I don't think I've even heard that, so maybe I got spared. But your point, though, is some of the other genres seem more open to evolution, and the fans seem more accepting and even hungry for something new. Whereas in the rock world, it kind of feels a little stagnant. Like if you're not one of the already big hit bands, it's very hard to break through and get attention and become part of that.
And with rave music and stuff like that too, there is a top tier, which is like Tiesto, Cascade, you know, things that have a long time. But there's also people that are in the last 10 years coming up that, like Martin Garrix is like in the top of that. Like, and there's new guys that come out of like electronic music that are, there's some guys out there that me and Jenny just saw a couple of weeks ago. They're like 40 years old or older. They're like my age, and they're from England. Dude, there was like 30,000 people in a parking lot in frickin' Skid Row when we went to see two guys from England.
Was it just the homeless people?
No.
And you?
No, it was a bunch of rave kids and me and
By
Jenny.
the way, no disrespect. I'm just fucking around.
We love the homeless here in LA.
We're all about it.
We're all about it. And no, but that's what's crazy is that like it's a growing form of music where those guys go like the hardest with like Jamaican style rapping in England over the music that was popular enough that there was a huge parking lot full of people, you know, in the middle of the night.
I mean, it's good to see a movement regardless of what it is, as long as it's, you know, not hurting people and stuff.
No, and it's about progress. And that's the thing with music is that rock stopped being about progress at the end of the 90s.
So coming back to the list, what about Smashing Pumpkins? Should they be out doing it?
Not really. I mean, I would say...
I'm a huge fan, by the way.
I am too. Like, but the best years are behind you. Maybe what was that record that came out, like Oceania or something?
Oceania.
Yeah, that could have been it. I mean...
Zeitgeist was kind of cool.
Zeitgeist, it was all right. I honestly think the last good Smashing Pumpkins record is Swan.
Well, it's not a Pumpkins record.
I know it's not, but like...
I love that Swan record. I have the sticker on my bass. You commented on it.
I love Swan. And that technically...
That was a super creative record.
It wasn't, but that technically should have been the end. It was like the happy version of Smashing Pumpkins. And...
Shout out to Paz.
Yeah.
The bass player.
She's great. No, I never like felt it was important after that to listen to anymore. Other stuff replaced
Well,
it.
a lot of people agree with you on this point. Let's see, who else?
Just to me, it's got to feel really...
Well, what about Guns N' Roses?
The Guns N' Roses is terrible. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, once you got rid of Steven Adler and replaced him with Matt Sorum, we already lost, like, a lot of rock and roll out the band.
Adler had a special feel,
He had
for sure.
He had a special feel. And then we got... I could have got down with Matt Sorum for a while. That was fine. And then after that, what's gone on has just been a menagerie of different people and places until they replaced
I like
everybody.
that word, menagerie.
When they brought back Duff and Slash, sure, it was exciting. And honestly, I was starting to get excited because Axl had been out singing with AC/DC for a while.
Yeah.
And he was killing with AC/DC because he sang like he cared, or maybe the songs were a little easier or something for him. But like when he sings Guns N' Roses songs now, it just doesn't do anything for me. Like
It's got that Mickey Mouse kind of
yeah,
sound.
it just sounds like that to me. And like, if I want to listen to a kid get beat up on a schoolyard, I go down and start kicking some ass because it sounds just like.
That's gonna make a great clip
Well,
for
no,
Instagram.
it just sounds like Minnie Mouse or Mickey Mouse like doing that. And there's some video of like 2011 Guns N' Roses, like at the what's that bridge school for rock or whatever. Yeah. When he's listen to that, Welcome to the Jungle, kids. That's bad. I mean, and yes, his vocals have improved, and yes, he is doing better some nights, better than others. But like the crunch and the violence of what that was,
the balls.
And to be fair, no one was going to maintain the attitude of Appetite for Destruction forever.
Impossible.
It's physically impossible.
Yeah.
I get that, but then it should be physically impossible, and we shouldn't be doing it. You know.
I think you actually have a really solid point there, right? It was a very special one in a billion thing. We could talk about GNR all day. I mean, Appetite is like arguably the greatest debut album of a rock band ever. I mean, from songwriting to production to attitude, the whole thing, fucking total fire.
I remember when it came out, it was one of the most different things I've ever heard. It was even hard to tell people what it sounded
I love
like.
you just said, I remember when it came out. I mean, I didn't hear about that shit, much
Did
later.
I ever tell you that I bought my tape of Appetite for Destruction from Guns N' Roses?
No fucking way.
Let me tell you about this. This is interesting. So I went down to the local music store.
Which
It was
is?
Strawberries Records in Danvers, Massachusetts. I walked down there.
What the fuck are you doing in Massachusetts?
That's where I grew up, Salem, Massachusetts. And so I walked down to the record store. I was gonna go buy. I think it was.
How old were you?
I was probably in 7th or 8th grade. I think
Like
it was
13?
12, 13. I think I was gonna go buy OU 812 or something, or 5150.
Pussy.
I love Sammy Hagar. Shut up. I was going down for that, and I got to the record store, and Guns N' Roses was in there. I'd never heard.
No.
I had never heard of them before because they were a new band. They were in the store signing records and tapes with the old cover of
This
Appetite.
was like 1990?
No, this is like 1987, 88.
No
This is like when Appetite for Destruction, like Welcome to the Jungle, was like a new song that no one had heard yet. Like this was insane. This was early Geffen Records, early kind of thing. So I walk into the record store, and I'm not kidding you, the store smelled like BO, booze, and Marlboro Lights.
It was Izzy.
It was just, those guys smelled like shit. And like, I remember looking at tapes, and Duff came by me. It's like, what are you buying, kid? And I was like, this Van Halen record. He's like, don't buy that shit. Come buy our shit. He like brought me over to the table. He was like giving me shit about it. Those guys basically bullied me into buying a tape from him. With the
Well,
old,
that's the kind of attitude bands need to have.
yeah, with the old. I was a 12-year-old.
This is borderline illegal.
This is borderline illegal. This was an adult bullying me into buying a tape, okay? And
They
so
got bills to pay, dude.
So I did get the tape, and I got it along with like my Van Halen tape or whatever. And the cover was so bad because it had like the chick who was assaulted on it with like the thing coming over the fence and whatnot. So I had to like, because my mom's a Mormon, I had to tear out the tape cover.
Oh, so is that why you were in Utah? Because your mom's a
my
Mormon?
mom's a Mormon.
Oh, I'm connecting the dots.
So we tore out the tape cover. So I just threw the artwork fucking away. Goodbye. See ya. And then I put a piece of tape like over the tape and put that it was like Peter Gabriel or something over the tape so I wouldn't get caught listening to it. And I just listened to it through headphones or whatever. My family wasn't around. I'd listen to Appetite for Destruction. But I did buy my first copy from Guns N' Roses in store appearance, Strawberry Records.
Were they all there? The whole band?
I can't, dude, it's so long ago and I was so young.
I mean, did you see Axl in person when you were like 12?
Yes, I saw him, and I
man.
know Slash and Duff were there. I'm not sure if the other two were
okay,
there.
that's fine.
So,
That's sufficient.
No, I mean, I saw a dude with a big top hat. I saw a big, tall, blonde guy bullying me that was talking to me, and I saw a red-haired guy that was a piece of shit. Like
And see, that's another reason why I like this whole podcasting thing, because it brings out gems like that. Because, I mean, I know a lot of your stories. You have many great stories. I never heard that one. That's amazing. I am so floored right now. This idea of you being 12 in Massachusetts, bullied by Duff to get the tape. And then when you get home and you listen to that tape, like, is the hair standing up on the back of your neck? Like, I mean, well, I don't know if you even had hair in your neck. You were 12 years old.
I still don't have hair on my neck. So
Whatever, you know what I'm saying.
What went on with that record was there was something I hadn't encountered a lot in music yet, which was dissonance. Where in Guns N' Roses, there's a lot of clashing thirds going on at the same time. There's a lot of like minor over major, major over minor, lots of like little different tensions.
Can you give an example for the audience?
Well, yeah, like so in something like Out to Get Me, or in it's so easy. Like the two guys will be playing licks that are opposing each other, that are kind of grinding on each other, and they'll be playing two different notes. Like somebody will be playing B and the other person will be playing B flat at the same time, and there'll be that tension over the bass note, which would just be E or something. Do you see what I'm saying? So the tension there, and it's all based kind of like on the Jimi Hendrix chord or something like that, where it's like, you know, there's a major and a minor element to the boom boom ching boom 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 ching chord. There's both layers of that sound in there. So there was a lot of tension and a lot of blues, but how Guns N' Roses played it was also very violent. So like I was kind of scared of the record for a while.
Well, this is what I was kind of getting at. This is what I imagine, not knowing who they are, and then that weird experience with them in the store, and then you put it on, and it is an aggressive, ballsy, in-your-face record.
Oh yeah, and we're talking about like fucking chicks and drinking and driving and a bunch of stuff that my little Mormon ass
Mr.
was
Brownstone.
Mr. Brown, yeah, doing heroin. I mean, there was a lot of dark stuff that was kind of talked about on the nose, you know, and that was the first time I think I'd heard stuff like that too.
But also, it's a nice mix of like sort of punk fury and aggression with this bluesy thing. It wasn't metal. It wasn't punk. I mean, it's rock, but it was so in your face, man. I mean, I feel like there's not another band prior to that, and maybe not after, that had that level of like ferocity, man.
Well, what took a little bit of the heat off of it for me early on was Axl Rose, when I saw him, was very pretty because he still had the big teased hair. He was still doing the old school, like...
Did you get aroused?
No. He was still doing like the Troubadour 87 Axl Rose too. So that made it a little more feminized. Do you know what I mean? Like in a way where it didn't seem as crazy, but like there were so many words. Like I didn't even know what the word fucking serpentine meant the first time I listened to fucking... Well, I had to look it up in the Webster dictionary.
But even like when he goes like, no, 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 you know, like that's aggressive and like kind of like slippery, but aggressive. I mean, what a crazy album, dude.
I mean, just the first minute of Welcome to the Jungle is an announcement like no other.
Yeah.
And it goes into a tempo which it did not start out on. Into a delay rhythm that never exists in the rest of the song. And it has a crazy breakdown that sounds like Whole Lot of Love kind of in the middle. That little part in the middle. Yeah, it has a lot of weird slidey and stuff is just like a weird 70s vibe to it.
We maybe should do a whole episode on like GNR, or I do think it would be very cool to do some like album breakdown type discussions in the future. Like, shout out to Rick Beato, but he does these things right where he goes, what makes Hotel California great? Breaks down the song piece by piece, tells you like what's working, what's not working. You have the capability to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if I really want to get into that much of it, but we'll see. I mean, I don't want to talk. I like talking about things in general terms. You know what I mean?
You don't want to go into the breakdowns.
I don't want to go into like talking about analytics about chords and stuff like that. That's boring as fuck for most people. Yeah,
I think Jack Glazer wants to hear it. Shout out to Jack.
Shout out to Jack, who told me I should have been doing this a long time ago, but he has topics, that's for sure. Do we have anything else on the schedule over there?
I mean, I think we hit most of this stuff. Are there any other bands that are past their prime that are pissing you off that you want to get out on record here?
There's just a bunch of shit. Like, can we not call it Earth, Wind, and Fire at the State Fair? It hasn't been those guys in so long. I mean...
That's a fair one.
You just can't... and Pantera, oh my God.
Okay, well, this is kind of... Again, I think it's a little case by case because... I don't know. I still haven't seen even the current Pantera, which that's another story. I missed a couple gigs for like silly reasons. But I do want to go see them because it's the only thing I got. I didn't see the original. I can't see the original. Like, don't you think there's a little space for that? Like, to see a version of it?
I got a story for you, okay? I came out here in 1994, and I was on vacation with my cousin and some of our friends. There were 2 shows in town, and I was down in San Diego this weekend. One was the Soundgarden show, which was really big for Super Unknown had just dropped, right? The other one was for Pantera for Far Beyond Driven when it first came out. So this was that tour. I went to a larger club type show. I would say probably 5,000 seats, something that's equivalent to like, I don't know,
House of
the
Blues.
Will Turn or the Palladium or something like that. It was a good sized show. And oh my God, the crowd at the Pantera show, half of it, I'm not kidding, was skinheads with steel-toed boots on that were there to kick some fucking ass. So it was crazy, and I
would not be surprised.
And I was shocked by like what I was seeing there. And this was at a point where like instruments were breaking and Dimebag and Vinny were still playing. I mean, strings were snapping and they were keeping shit in tune. And as far as I'm concerned, because I've seen that so many times, and if you go back and you watch the videos, like watch like fucking the Foundations Forum with like Pantera at the Palladium in like 92 or something like that. Like, it's not Pantera, dude. It's Zakk Wylde and Charlie from Anthrax trying to play close to Pantera, but that's not Pantera. No, Dime is not replaceable as a person. Vinny's not
completely
replaceable
agree.
as a person.
It's irreplaceable.
I mean,
Totally.
granted, that may be as close as you're going to get.
That's my point.
But
I can't get the real thing. Give me the next best
then
thing.
it's a tribute to Pantera. It could be called Vulgar, a tribute to Pantera.
Sure.
So, I mean...
But then, you know, it would affect some of the marketing. It would affect some of the monetary opportunities, probably.
But don't be telling motherfuckers like me Pantera's back, because they're not. Okay.
Well, I'm not saying that, and I wouldn't say that.
Or you could say Pantera with Zakk Wylde and Charlie Benante or whatever. Like, and are either of those guys bad players? No, but they're. I mean, Charlie's, I think, doing a better job than Zakk is playing the material. To be honest.
You've told me this.
Yeah.
I find this interesting. I don't disagree. Why don't you talk about that for a second?
Charlie was really good friends with Benny, and they talked a lot about drum heads and tones and things like that. And he went to the point to learn every fill. And not do Charlie's thing to it, but play it exactly as
More
Vinny
authentic.
did, authentically. And Zakk just kind of does Zakk, and him and Dime are friends, and they have similar kind of aesthetic and similar kind of like playing styles. But Zakk is doing like his own thing with it, which I can't say I really. They'd be like somebody trying to do Van Halen, dude. Like, you can't do Van Halen.
Well, and speaking of which, right, you have Hagar going out with Satriani on guitar, and Satriani is one of the top guitarists in the world.
And it sounded nothing like
and
Eddie
it
Van
doesn't
Halen.
sound the same.
It doesn't sound like
right?
it. Was really good for Satch. It's probably the best I've ever heard him play in improv and stuff like that.
Nice.
Like, I was actually, when I saw him play with Sammy Hagar like 2 years ago or something like that, literally, I was blown away by Satch because it was the best I'd ever heard him play with the most fire I've ever heard him play.
Well, probably because knowing that you have to try to meet the bar of Eddie, which no one can do, like, that's got to be on your fucking ass at all times, inspiring you to higher heights, even if you can't get there, right?
Yeah, and it really did when he took a solo. Like, I've never been... Satriani to me was always like a dude that's like running his little patterns over his little backing tracks, which I think are kind of lame and boring.
Surfing with the alien, bro.
I mean, because it's just, I mean, that sounds like a drum machine with a dude playing a melody. And there's nothing more boring to me in guitar music when it's just like, here's the melody, and it's just like one that no one would sing. And then we get into a pre-chorus, which is something like no one would sing. And then we get into a solo, and that's like the coolest part of the song. Because like on Surfing with the Alien, Sag Boogie, like, the majority of the songs to me just sound like guitar drivel until the solo comes, and then it's pretty cool and on fire, and it has some good swag to it.
I mean, that's what some of those guys do, though, right? They're just trying to put something around their solo so they can fucking go off on their solo, you know?
But stuff like Always With Me, Always With You never did anything for me. It doesn't really feel emotional like a Jeff Beck song or something feels. You know what I mean? So,
well, real quick, so we've talked about a lot of acts who might be past their prime. Maybe they should hang it up. You in particular are very anti beating that horse to death, and I respect your view. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I do want to say for a quick moment, I saw Eddie Van Halen with David Lee Roth at the Hollywood Bowl. I think this was 2018. I think it might have been one of the last shows Eddie's ever played, and I don't want to cast any shade on David Lee Roth, even though maybe you might want to. He didn't sing excellent that day, but it didn't matter. I thought at that gig, Eddie just destroyed. I mean, for what I was hoping to get out of that, he fully delivered. Just mind-blowing. To me, it was super tight, super precise. The fire was there, you know what I mean? And this guy's just basically godly to me. Like there's nobody that can play like that with that fire and it's also unbridled passion, you know. And he didn't always play the musically correct thing either, which is great too. He did his own thing. So there's no way Satch or anyone can replicate that.
No, and the thing with David Lee Roth is, was he really ever a good singer? I mean, he's kind of a cartoon character. He had a thing he did. He was a good front man, you know, which you could argue.
He was a good front man.
I mean, Mick Jagger, arguably a better front man than a singer. I mean,
you know what we should do? We should splice in some little DLR like type shit. Or we could do the Paul Stanley one earlier.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like it drops. We're just gonna have drops in our fucking podcast. That'd be hilarious. No, it's funny because like Dave is always like live. He was always kind of bad, even back in the day, and he always kind of did. And he doesn't really follow a lot of, like, I've had friends that have played with him and stuff like that before, and the dude just does whatever the fuck he wants every day and doesn't care what the melody is or what the rhythm is. He's just being David Lee Roth. And
I mean, I guess I do have to appreciate that level of freedom and autonomy, you know, just to kind of not give a fuck.
Which is funny because like when Adam does it with like Counting Crows and he just doesn't follow the melody, makes up his own shit, I really enjoy it. But for some reason when Eddie's super precise and on his parts, and Alex is super precise.
It's a different style of music.
Yeah, it's a different style of music. And so when that happens, yeah, it just kind of depends on case by case. But I mean, no shade. At least they had all the guys up there, minus Mike, which was pretty fucking bad. I mean,
yeah.
I think you need to have Mike to have Van Halen.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I like
he's a great musician. No, not taking anything away from him. But if you're gonna sell me Van Halen, I think Michael Anthony needs to be there. He was in the band before David Lee Roth was.
This is a fair point.
Do you see what I'm saying? All right.
Well, this has been fun.
Yeah, I think we're good on time for now. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for being here with me, Nick. It was good.
Good times as always. And stay tuned. We're going to get this stuff out to you, and we're going to start having guests in here pretty soon, which I'm very excited for.
I'm super stoked for it. And yeah, we're going to tell more crazy stories, more anecdotal evidence of good and bad music.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt. Oh, we actually have a thought of having an episode about the craziest places where I've had a bathroom diarrhea attack.
I thought you were about to make a remark about like like sexual excursions, and you're talking about just shit.
I'm talking about my shit story.
Wasn't that the name of a Michael Jackson album?
That was History. I'm just talking about my history of shitting. Or what was the other one called? The Shatscapades. All right, whatever.
I think we got to cut it there.
We got to cut it there. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week for some more bullshit. Bye.
Take care. Good night.
Peace.